So I don't know when this video is going up. I'm recording it right after the duels, so if I sound tired, that's why. It's not because anything else, not because I'm mad about the duels. I'm actually quite happy about it. You'll hear in a little bit, but I don't know if this is going up the 14th or if it's going up the 13th, the night of the duels. So I'm just gonna refer to the duels as tonight, and we'll see how it goes. So we had whatever they call it, duels. I just call them the Duel to Daytona now, or the Gatorade duels because that's what I call them in my leagues. But um, here they were, the duels. A first race back since the crazy Bush crash. Um, Time for the drivers to make it up and say, hey, we don't just crash all the time. We can actually put on some good racing. Um, some people thought it would be like the Bush Clash where they were going to be wrecking all the time. I thought it would be the complete opposite. I thought they were just going to get single file and ride out and try to just, wait to battle until the end of the race since it's 60 laps. You still have to make a pit stop. There's pit strategy, so there's not much use battling on lap 15 if you think you're going to wreck your car. As it turns out, these drivers knew better than I did, and they went crazy. And it was the perfect balance of crazy and tame. This was some of the best Superspeedway racing I have seen since 2014. This was a perfect balance of crazy and tame. At points, they would go 2, 3 wide, side drafting each other, bump drafting, push drafting each other, yet they kept their cars under control. There was only a combined 2 yellows in each of the duels. One was JJ Yeley getting hooked, trying to battle for the transfer spot, and the other was a wreck coming onto pit road. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Um, so yeah, just very good duels overall. I mean, these were probably the best duels since like 2014, 2015, like the last season when the duels actually mattered. Um, so I'm just glad they were good here tonight because after the clash, it was kind of like, ooh, like this is bad. They can't drive without wrecking. This package is too crazy at points. These drivers don't know how to act. The runs are too big. They're trying to block them, whatever. It turned out that the drivers are still good at driving. It just depends on, what situation they're put in. And here today, they were put in a position of save the race car, don't wreck the race car. This is your Daytona 500 primary. Keep it in one piece for the 500 at least. Let us race there and crash it instead of racing here and crashing it. Um, so duel number one went to Joey Logano. Fords worked together. There were about 8 Fords in the race, so they definitely had the upper hand. There were a few Toyotas and a few Chevys, but otherwise Ford definitely had the advantage in terms of numbers in duel number one. Um, the Chevys came down pit road early. Some Toyotas came down as well. The Fords stayed out longer, and they're actually gaining on the pack. And then they decided to come down pit road. All the Fords knew it, except for somehow Ryan Blaney's team didn't really catch that, and he didn't know they were pitting. Meanwhile, Daniel Suarez had made his pit stop and lost the Toyota group. So he then fell out of that, fell into the Ford draft, fell to the back of it, and was at the back of it as they were coming down pit road. He had Ryan Blaney and Ryan Newman on his outside. Brad Keselowski in front of him was coming down pit road. So as Brad cuts into pit road, obviously Suarez is going to swerve up to make sure he doesn't hit Brad because Brad's slowing down for pit road. He comes up. Blaney comes down. They make contact. Suarez goes around. Daniel Suarez is missing the Daytona 500 now. Like, that's insane. Daniel Suarez is not in the Daytona 500, um, which is quite insane. That spot goes to Reed Sorensen. The other spot in Duel 2 goes to Timmy Hill. Um, so that was Duel number one. They raced pretty aggressively early on. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has a very fast race car for the Daytona 500. He was making some aggressive moves, very clean aggressive moves though. I want to say that some people were criticizing him like, "Hey, calm down, Ricky. Like, calm down." But he was racing hard. He was racing aggressively, but he never really hit anyone. He was very clean in doing so. Um, but yeah, so the Fords worked together. Almirola pushed Joey away to get him the stage one win, or the dual one win. Oh God, I'm already saying stage one win. I think dual one was the better of the two duels. Normally, there's one duel that is exponentially better than the other one, or maybe not exponentially, but it's a clear favorite in terms of the competitiveness. I think Duel 1 definitely had the edge on Duel 2, even though I thought Duel 2 would be better since there were a lot of bigger names in it. Um, The start of Duel 2, we saw some single file, and then Bowman come back and take the lead back, and then Kevin Harvick led for a lot of the race, then the Chevys came down pit road, and then the Fords stayed out, and then the Fords came to pit road with two Toyotas, and then those like 5 cars left pit road all in one pack, way ahead, like 6 seconds ahead of the Chevys. And at that point, it was just going to be, I think, between Harvick, Jones, Kyle Busch, and two other Fords, DiBenedetto and someone else. David Reagan, I think, was up there. It was good between those five, but then racing for the transfer spot, J.J. Yeley got clipped into the wall, ruining and ending his race, allowing Timmy Hill to advance through, set up a restart with the Chevys coming down pit road, all the cars at the back coming down pit road, getting some four fresh Mr. Goodyears on, and going out and trying to get through the field. So the Fords tried to maintain pace. Harvick and Benedetto were running 1-2. Some cars tried to make the outside lane work. They fell back, and then it was just kind of riding along. It was Harvick, De Benedetto, and then Eric Jones, and then fourth on back to about eighth were Chevrolet drivers. With 3 to go, Byron flipped the switch and said, "We have to make a move." He goes high. No one can really block it. William Byron gets pushed by the 4 of Kevin Harvick with help from Chevy teammates Kurt Busch and Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy tries to get up there and help William Byron out. He passes Kurt Busch. He tries to pass William Byron. Byron blocks it off. Byron takes the white flag. Byron's leaning down the backstretch. Kurt Busch is getting a run. He goes to the middle lane, splitting Harvick low, Jimmy Johnson high. Jimmy sees this, tries to block it. He hits Kurt down to Kevin. Kevin goes below the double yellow, comes back onto the racetrack. Kurt's still hitting Jimmy out while all this is happening. They all keep it going straight somehow. William Byron's like 5 car lengths away. Larson gives up, gives Jimmy a push, and Jimmy went from about 3 tenths back off turn 4 to being within a tenth of William Byron at the checkered flag. William Byron wins duel number 2 of 2020. So, that was cool to see. William Byron hasn't really sniffed a Gatorade. Oh my God, it's a Gatorade Cup Series win. He hasn't really sniffed a Cup Series win, in his career. So it's nice to see Byron get that, maybe a boost of momentum for this season to come. One of my predictions is that he would win this season. So hopefully that is a sign of things to come, and he'll win a points race, which is what my prediction meant. Also, don't forget that the duels do give out points, so this could be beneficial for some drivers. If you think that maybe they're not going to make it in because of a win, maybe they'll make it in on points, this could be beneficial for them. Logano and Byron leave tied for the points lead with 10. Jimmy Johnson has 9 points. So if you think, man, maybe Jimmy Johnson's not going to win in the first 26 races of the season, maybe, just maybe, those 9 points could make the difference if he's going to make the playoffs or not. That could be very interesting there. So don't forget that, because that could come in handy later in the season for sure. But overall, once again, perfect balance, great super speedway racing. That's kind of what I imagine when I see super speedway racing. I imagine cars racing side by side. They don't necessarily have to be packed 3 by 3 by 3 by 3. They don't have to be doing that. They just have to be, kind of close together. They can ride out at points. That's fine. It's a dual race. It's a long race as well. It's 60 laps. Really, you only care about where you finish, so you don't have to be pushing it as much. I would expect the same in the Daytona 500. Stage 1, Stage 2, you don't really have to race that hard. You can go single file if you want to. Stage 3, all bets are normally off. So that's normally how I expect it. I would rather see 30 clean race cars battling out for the win at the end instead of 14 race cars out in the racetrack in total. So kind of like we saw, back in the older days, where like the big ones would happen late in the race because they were pushing hard late in the race, and they were still racing aggressively early on, but they weren't racing so aggressively that they would be crashing all the time. So I like to see stuff like that, because it's kind of more intense seeing 30 cars there at the end instead of like 6. So duels are great. Probably once again, as I said, the best duels since like 2014, 2015 for sure. I think overall combined there were like 19 lead changes here tonight. So that's good. Good numbers for the duels. Looking forward to trucks tomorrow, Xfinity on Saturday, and of course the Daytona 500 is going to be on Sunday. That's going to be a fun one. First 500 with this package. We'll see what it produces. In my opinion, it's probably going to be a mix of the duels and the clash, because obviously the 500 means a lot. They're going to be going for broke at the end, so we might see a lot of crashing later. But I hope Stage 1, Stage 2 goes pretty clean, and we get through those without many accidents and try and keep cars in the race for stage number 3. So I don't really have much more to say other than good job to the drivers here tonight, because they put on a show. I thoroughly enjoyed those dual races. So that was fun. Thanks everyone for watching. My first positive race review of the season. Hopefully there's a lot more of these to come. I'll see you guys for the next video.